First of all, I do appreciate my Buddhist brothers, and I think that they've been forced to retreat from the atmosphere unfairly because the atmosphere is not conducive to spiritual growth. Okay, so I do apologize if I was too harsh. I do believe I was, and it takes a better man to admit when he's wrong and not just give lip service, so to speak, but to actually do what it takes to correct it. Okay, so they're friendly people, nice people, and because of how society is, they've pretty much been forced to retreat and go to Buddhist retreats, and that is really their true form at this point because society and the construct we live in is not conducive to spiritual, mental, and even physical growth. The three are connected. Okay, so let's consider the different words, right? Contrace, right? Protrace, contrast. Okay, so pro-trace versus contrace, the contrast. Okay, you have to look at it. What are they doing? They're sabotaging certain people to get that effect, and we'll get into that shortly. Okay, so there's a lot of things that one must consider. The six-pack actually relates to this, right? Six-pick, right? The six is the F, sex, six, going back to the lexicon and the interchangeable vowels, okay? Four-pack, right? Four-pick. Someone who has a lot of sex is more likely to get the full six-pack, where the four-pack is more associated with just martial arts striking and things of this nature. And over time, it has become the gyms and the various exercise. So when we look at the Big Bang, right? Nimrod as the doorman, right? Backwards. This has everything to do with the dock, the ship. It has to do with sex. Okay, what causes the Big Bang, right? When somebody takes his rightful place, you have to be mature to understand this, right? In society and does the right thing and starts to affect the atmosphere. He's also affecting the quality of life, including your sex life. That's part of your life in general. Okay, and it also kind of determines what kind of children we bring in. There's some connection there between impregnating somebody in the spirit and the type of child that is born. Certainly, there's strong connections. There's some scientific kind of genetic kind of semen kind of impregnating the sperm and so on in the ovaries. And there certainly is, how did you get to that place in the first place, right? What kind of person are you sleeping with? As a result, really sleeping is a kind of derogatory term for sex. It's being asleep, right? Mesmerized, hypnotized, right? At various levels of consciousness, you're being conned into bed. So it's truly finding your mate in the right spirit, okay? So again, that goes back to conform versus proform, right? Pro-for. Con for what? Conform. Con for what? Why are you choosing to be a con artist, right? It's for evil and selfishness. Proform. And it goes back to prophet, pro-pet, and it goes back to Leopold, the leopard. Okay, contest versus protest. Okay, and protease. I protest the form of the martial arts competition because it is not fair to the natural martial artist. It should really be outside in the sun on compact sand or dirt or even kind of grass, because in a civilized which martial means to order, which leads to civilization, we're going to have compact sand and dirt around because people are going to come and go, trade routes and the people that live there and so on. Connect versus pro-neck. Okay, so the con, neck, remember the T is the feminine suffix, right, versus the pro-neck. And when we look at the back of the Narmer palette, we see the minions of Set, I believe, separating the two leopards by the neck, separating the two people, the two mates, potential mates, who have the spirit of Ra by the neck. And that's where we get this kind of caduceus or catechus symbol of thought and Hermes and so on that we see on the medical establishments associated with medicine, associated with birth. It is two snakes being born, con men, con artists, cunning, snake cunning, conning. Okay, connect. Okay, so regression versus aggression, right? We need to focus that aggression and build on it. That is the true creative energy of God versus regressing and focusing on lust and inferior forms of sexual attraction, romantic attraction, mating and so on, and the energy, sexual energy, inferior sexual energy versus the spirit of romantic making love energy. Okay, so Tesla, for example, tease lay. He wants you to focus on unnatural form as a result of an unnatural perspective, telling you how to transcend and to the universe, etc. So we look at being born again, right? Water, being dipped in water. Okay, so basically Tesla is basically, he's kind of like a skinny, out of shape guy. He's a scientist, goes back to the lab and ball. the bull, the bell, right? Your money, right? Laboratory, money, moon E, and so on and so forth. Min, patron of chemists. That's how they used to tell it. They're starting to tell it differently these days. But certainly this is where the system comes from, when Min was associated with chemists. Okay? So on. So we're born again, right? You go outside and you get baptized. You get dipped into the water. Okay? You have this fresh look when you get out of the shower, when you're dipped into the water. The sun hits you, the kind of water sparkles a certain way. It's a very profound experience and look that comes with it, right? When someone with long straight hair, for example, dips their head in the water and they pour it up, right? You see the water puts the hair in order a certain way. It falls down a certain way versus being kind of Einstein-haired in the laboratory. Okay, that form of intelligence has given us science that's really destroying our mind, body, and souls, but there's some good that has come from it. But it's really the difference between lukewarm, unnatural, yin-yang kind of good versus pure sun, spirit of God. All right, the sun and shower versus the pill in the indoors, in the psych ward or something in the hospital, right? Pill and pale, right? Sickly. Okay. The fountain of youth has a connection to this as well. Feeling alive. Remember the A as the alpha, as the hawk, versus the E as the evil, as the beta, and so on. Okay, and the epsilon. We'll get to that. Up, seal, on. Right. They want to seal and put the seal on the top of the planet, of metaphorically, spiritually speaking, and to keep out the true light of God, and to kind of be the bull that allows in as much light as you see fit, or kind of has a filter, and so on. Okay. So it goes back to sabotage. See, bat age. Bat was the kind of feminine cattle, kind of cow deity that was on Narmer's apron, his kilt, really. It's what it is, his kilt, on the Narmer palette when he is conquering his enemy that he has crippled. Okay. See, bat age, so, ba, to go. E, get, OBAs, right, backwards with the vowels interchanged accordingly. Phonetics, Phoenicians, phoenix, symbol of reproduction, rebirth, right? Birth from fire, right, versus a birth from water. E, get, O, boss. Okay? And of course the Obi, right, the man Igbo, this kind of is a symbol of rank and authority. Ki means king in Igbo, heart, temple, hut. Okay? Of course the temple is the body. So sage, remember sage again is egas, where we have spirit. Spiritus means to breathe. It's also connected to courage and vigor. Okay, and that goes back to the witchcraft, right? Crafty. More testosterone versus less of a dose of it and the effect it has on the brain. Okay, and I went over that in part 1 a little bit where think of the different effect that someone has in their brain if they're out of shape and they see him like, I can't control myself, right? He hasn't done the repetition and the mental conditioning and all the kind of martial arts exercises to control himself. So where I might start yelling and say, look, this is what's going on. Someone else might start being cunning and underhanded and start acting like a snake. Well, I'll end it there.